Hey friends, this is Joseph Maynor. So what I want to do in this video is I want to show how deep bias goes. So I want to look at the Big Five model of personality and show how this actually can go against what is good for you, right? Because see, there's a bias toward getting along with people. But then people take advantage of that, right? And make your life worse. And so from your perspective, it may not actually be good to get along with other people necessarily. But I think the Big Five model of personality assumes this. Like it's best to get along, like socially get along with who and why. Sometimes people throw their power around and fuck your life up because you're sitting there trying to get along. And they're doing what they want to do. Even when you tell them to stop, they're still doing what, they want to do. So there's this really as Aristotle understood, there's this delicate balance between being assertive and being aggressive versus being a dick. Being aggressive versus being too passive. Being too passive, too feminine. Being too aggressive, too masculine. So there's this idea that, we should be assertive to hold everything together and to be perfect all the time. Nobody's perfect all the time, nor should you be. I mean, if somebody comes and attacks you, obviously, you're not going to be assertive, you're going to be aggressive. If some crazy person comes up to you and you could really just genuinely see that they don't know what they're doing, right? It doesn't make sense to be aggressive, you're going to be passive. You're going to be like, we need to get you help or whatever it is. So there's a judgment call here. And this idea that we should always be like some kind of perfect assertiveness or perfect balance in every situation. I think it's an ideal that goes to human marriage. The idea that we got to get along with each other. Well, maybe not. Maybe you're taking advantage of my, of me, and I'm taking advantage of you. And the reality is, that's not good for either one of us. So we need to fight. See, we need to fight. And maybe that means that we split. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. We go to war, somebody wins, somebody loses. Maybe there's a settlement. Maybe we don't go to war. But the bottom line is, you got to be open to all of this. If you're too focused on trying to get along with people, you're a servant, essentially, in life. And there are pros and cons to being that way. I mean, you're a farmer, right? You're somebody who gets by on relationship. But if you're a lone flyer, if you're a lone wolf, that may not be your path, actually. You'll get annoyed by that. So this idea of the Big Five model of personality, I think, is actually biased. What I want to do in this video is I want to try to unpack that bias. So, because I think a lot of people just assume, this is science, this is psychology, it's good for everyone, everybody should, do this or that. No, because you're not everyone. When did you become everyone? Overnight? In your own mind or in other people's mind? So, on some level, you have to be able to see, wait a minute, how does my intuition factor into how I judge the Big Five model of personality? Okay, friends, so I'll just take one break. I'll come right back. Just give me 1 second. All right, friends. So welcome back. So I think one of the insights that I want to teach you is that you have to realize on some level that you're the man here. Not a man here, but the man here, even if you're a woman. And that can express itself in a human way. It can express itself in a divine way. But this is the integration of the masculine. You have to realize that, like, don't let people dick you around. But this requires that you're on your shit too. You know, you have to have a purpose, be enthusiastically behind your purpose. Otherwise, you're gonna be entitled. You're gonna see somebody can be taken advantage of who's like ridiculously masculine, right? But look, man, if you own the store, right, you own your life. Stop letting other people push you around. I mean, you can be nice for a while, right? And, you know, they're going to be nice for a while or whatever. But, you know, at some point, you've got to dictate the trajectory of your life, period. You know, you do want to exercise your power in a way that is ultimately good for you. And it's not going to be clean. It's going to be like you're going to fight with people. People are going to counterattack. You know, there's going to be this, like, you know, back and forth. But ultimately, you don't want to fight stupid battles. But at the same time, like, you know, don't question yourself too much here either. I mean, what's happening has to happen the way that it is. Like, there's a lot of decisions that went into the way things are set up the way they are. But just to look at the Big Five model, I mean, this is so conservative. This is so, like, pro-social to me that you can see how there's an ethic here, right, in this. So the Big Five model is a model of personality theory that's based on 5 and then double 5 or 10 aspects. So the first 5, you know, we can use the OCEAN acronym. Openness to experience, O, C, conscientiousness, E, extroversion, A, agreeableness, N, neuroticism. So OCEAN, openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. Now, you can think of neuroticism as being the inverse or the flip around. So really, it's emotional stability here. So isn't this what you know, the people who want to use you want you to be, right? They want you to be open, conscientious, extroverted, agreeable, and low neuroticism. That benefits them. That's a lose-win, right? So you know, it's like you win, I lose. But the thing is, you know, this idea that, like, I should be open to being social already is maybe not true. On what condition? Was that condition decided by you? Right? When you decided to stand up for yourself, was there resistance there? Right? So now you have this faith in, like, oh, if I can only get along. And now there's this Big Five model of personality that feeds into that kind of moral prerequisite or moral standard or moral ideal. I'll be good. No, you're going to be a schlub. You're going to be a schmuck. That's the bottom line. You're going to be a schmuck. Like, if you're open, you have a high openness, you have high intellect, you have high industriousness, high orderliness, high enthusiasm, high assertiveness, high compassion, high politeness, high volatility, high withdrawal. Low volatility, low withdrawal. Like, what kind of fucking fantasy land is this to think that there's a person like this that could exist in reality? This is so value laden. It's ridiculous. Yeah, you should be open to experience. Really? You should be conscientious. You should be extroverted. You should be agreeable. You should have low neuroticism. Really, when and where did that happen? When did that happen for you, right? So, like, Jordan Peterson he was like, a big person with the big five. But what I find interesting about Jordan Peterson is that he had his own ups and downs. That wasn't reflected in the big five. Where is intuition reflected in the big five? Anywhere it's nowhere to be found. Intuition is nowhere to be found in the big five. So it's like, okay, we're just going to look at somebody. We're going to say, are they open? Okay, we're going to assess somebody like they're a some kind of something to be examined or tested, right? This kind of piercing mentality, like I'm going to examine and test you and judge you. Well, fuck you, right? Did I agree to this? Did I agree to the protocol here? What is this? So the Big Five model is, I just want to do a deconstruction here. I'm playing a little bit of a devil's advocate here just for, to amuse myself and, and also to try to simplify the train of thought because I only have a 30-minute video. But let's run through this systematically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll run through it systematically. Just give me 1 second. Guys, this is going to fuck up so much of your life, dude. Just having faith in science and what other people think and other people's virtue signaling and judgment about you. This is going to waste so much of your life. On the one hand, there's always this threat. Well, if you don't understand knowledge or science, somehow that's going to hold you back. But ultimately, what really holds you back is when you have too much faith in knowledge and science. Just look at it as a way ultimately to make a living, fundamentally. But then now the problem there is okay, well, you might not be aligned with authenticity. Well, you're going to have to do life purpose work now to figure that out. That's going to require judgment, intuition, something personal in you, right? Because these models are inherently idealistic. So take openness to experience. Oh, it's good to be open. It's good to have high intellect. Really? For who? You or me? Conscientiousness. We should be industrious. We should be orderly. Well, should be. Obviously, every person is going to have different strengths here. Some people are going to be. One of the things I do like about the Big Five is that I can see how it gives us a model for determining strengths. So yeah, some people are higher in openness. Some people are higher in intellect. Some people are higher in industriousness. Some people are higher in orderliness. Some people are higher in enthusiasm or assertiveness or compassion or politeness or low volatility and low withdrawal. But what does that do for you? What you really want to know is what you're strong in, what you're weak in, what your life purpose is, what your problems are, and the best way to use your energy to solve problems, even if it means to get into conflict with other people. So the Big Five, it's not a life coaching model. It's a mental health model. It's a model that tells people like, these are better ways to relate. You know, if you want to relate socially, if you want to be somebody who like can keep a job, you know, who can be the norm, right? Like a sort of like consolidation of the norm. That's what we see with the Big Five model. And it's ideal. It's moral. See, there's a moral undertone here. There's a fake kind of assertion, you know, that you have these and that the people who you're teaching don't have these. Or that these are good somehow. You've like demonstrated that they're good. In what way did you demonstrate that they're good? See, I think you need to realize that, you know, you don't need to demonstrate that your life is good. Your life is already good. You have to get beyond this kind of virtue signaling. Maybe I can title this video like the pros and cons of ethics. I think this is the elephant in the room. Is a lot of people realize that morality is problematic, but they can't really explain why it's problematic. They feel that it's problematic, but they can't explain why it's problematic. Well, I'll do my best. Just give me 1 second. I'll come back and I'll do my best to try to explain why that might be problematic. So just give me 1 second. All right, friends. So let's go through this. Why is morality problematic? Because in the first instance, we have what happens without judgment. In the second instance, we take a position, we become lawyers. We take a position and we start fighting based on some kind of intellectual position. Notice that this is different than the way animals fight. Like other beings fight, you know, animals fight, but they don't fight based on an intellectual position. So there are pros and cons to fight on the basis of an intellectual position. And you can see why humans are caught up in fighting based on an intellectual position, which is how morality actually causes not just peace, but war. Because we want to be right. We want to fight for the right. We're willing to die with our boots on, right, if we're right. Viewed by other people even. We're willing to sacrifice the individual for the tribe. A lot of people have gone out that way. A lot of people, like the guy who killed that, you know, healthcare CEO, Mangione, right? It's like, I'm willing to die for the tribe. That reminds me of like a Muslim person who blows themselves up, you know. And when I went to Istanbul it was like a month after I left, there was a guy who blew himself up in the exact square that I was hanging out in and killed like some German tourists. You can actually find that. It was so when I went to Istanbul, it was the winter in 2015. So in 2016, there was a guy who blew himself up in Istanbul, sitting exactly in the same bench that I was sitting in, observing the obelisks in that particular square. And he blew himself up and he killed some German tourists that were there pretty close to after I left. But the reason why he blew himself up is because he felt that by sacrificing the individual, I'm going to gain something from the collective. So this is one thing I want to really warn you guys against. The masculine cannot be protected by the feminine entirely. Never think that by sacrificing the masculine, by sacrificing the individual, that you're going to get something by guarantee that's going to be better than what you would have been able to gain by integrating the individual. The individual is that I am God. Okay? That's a pointer. There's going to be a lot of people who don't like that, but I can see why that's the case. Why solipsism is the case, why all these masculine tools are here so that you can balance this need to surrender and sacrifice to this need to be the sovereign and the ruler. Now, a lot of people don't like the word dictator because it has negative connotations to it. But see, there's a shadow reason why the dictator becomes popular again. You can see this in United States politics. So what I'm going to do is I'll come back and we'll do that, and we'll look at the Big Five model and show how it's a simp model, right? The simp, the gimp, right? The person who just wants to get along, who just wants to live like a peaceful life. You're not going to live a peaceful life by conforming to some kind of ideal that is not reflective of the way things actually work. So just give me 1 second. Okay, friends, so welcome back. So let me explain what the Big Five model is. It's a very human marriage model, stage blue. So remember, my 10 areas of 10 nodes, 10 sources of truth model. So you have the human feminine, the human masculine, the human marriage. The divine feminine, the divine masculine, the divine marriage, the integral, the marriage between the human and the divine marriage, the transcendent, and then the marriage between the integral and the transcendent. So the Big Five model is about a human marriage. It's about getting along from a human standpoint, and realize that this is only one source of truth. And you're going to feel bad because you're not good at this. Like, some people are good at this, but you wouldn't want to live their life. This is like the remember Flanders on The Simpsons? Right? Like the safe life. This is the safe life. Like, if you're trying to teach kids how to be able to care for themselves and care for their family or something like that, but it's like this kind of safe one right answer that you think is going to be good for the majority. It's like this utilitarian mentality. Like, we're going to give an ethic that's disguised as science to be able to sort of guide people to be normal so that they can live this kind of idealized happy life that comes from being normal. Well, first of all, happiness is not always here. Second of all, the way your life works has to be good, or else why are you still here? You wouldn't be here if your life wasn't already good. So stop letting other people tell you that you're good or bad. This is the thing with morality. The masculine has to be able to say, stop telling me that I'm good or bad. I need to stop telling myself that I'm good or bad too. I'm fucking myself up by paying attention to the virtue signaling that's going on around me, right? Through education, through other people, through other systems, right? People are sending me these virtue signals. I don't know if you guys play Minecraft, but like, you know, when you play Minecraft, sometimes like you'll be rowing a boat through the ocean, and an elder guardian, like you'll pass by like an underwater temple, and there's these elder guardians that protect the underwater temples. And sometimes you'll be rowing a boat in Minecraft, and an elder guardian will hit you with like a spell almost, and it lasts, I don't know how long, like maybe like 10 minutes or whatever, where you have mining fatigue and you're stunned. Like it zapped you. Now you're stunned. You have mining fatigue. You can't mine anything, and you have to go somewhere that's safe, and you have to kind of hang out until the mining fatigue wears off, and then you can go and you can carry on with your day. I kind of feel like that's the same thing that happens when people virtue signal you, is that they stun you. See? But you have to, on the one hand, realize that everything that's gone on in your life is good. Everything. You have to accept your entire life as a finite perspective. Stop criticizing your life. You're causing yourself a lot of suffering by criticizing your life. And then once you can accept your life for what it is, then you can try to find a purpose and an enthusiasm to work on your weaknesses. But you need to also realize that there's going to be people who don't want to have your back for whatever reason. There are going to be people who don't want to, stick with you. There are going to be people who, fuck all that. Doesn't matter, right? It is what it is. They have their own problems. The fact that you even had a point of intersection to begin with somebody different is already a kind of accomplishment. So you have to be ultimately accepting and a champion of your own path in life, period. And this kind of like Big Five model, like telling you, you're not open enough, you don't have enough intellect, you don't have enough industriousness, you don't have enough orderliness, you don't have enough enthusiasm, you don't have enough assertiveness, you don't have enough compassion, you don't have enough politeness, you don't have enough low volatility, you don't have enough low withdrawal. Half listen to that, but half ignore it too. Because this is only telling you like some kind of judgment about your life, like somebody giving you some kind of a scheme, and now you're seeing the Venn diagram between that scheme and your life, and you're going, do I really care about this or not? Stop caring about everything. See, the feminine wants to care about everything. The masculine wants to reject everything, right? So what I think what personal development is when you realize you have an increased judgment. So you go, well, these are the things that it's a judgment. It's like, these are the things that I really should care about, and these are the really things that I should not care about. And that has nothing to do with your emotions. Your emotions are fucked up for other reasons. I'm going to do a video on mental health. But your emotions are fucked up for different reasons, right? Because you didn't get what you wanted, you have some lack, or you have some insecurity or some other kind of thing. But you can still see that you need to be able to accept your life as is. And this is the feminine. The feminine is about acceptance. The masculine is about I am the boss. So this is actually a very powerful marriage between the node and the link. So on the one hand, I accept myself as an individual perspective, and on the other hand, I also accept the possibility that I might change in ways that could benefit myself and other people, but I'm not going to privilege one of those over the other either. I'm going to be a little bit less like neurotic about that. I'm going to be a little bit more sort of stand my ground for the way that things have always been too. Because you're going to drive yourself crazy by feeling like you're not enough, that you're not good enough. No, like if you were not good enough, you wouldn't be here. Period. Everything that is here is enough to be here. Know that as the masculine. If you're here, you're okay to be here. So you have to develop a discernment about when to accept and when to want to change. And that ultimately has to come down to you. And you want to have enthusiasm and purpose behind your change. Because you don't want to feel like you're changing because you're being like in a vice grip. Right? Somebody's got you in a vice and it's just like, right? You don't want to feel like that. You want to feel like the reason why you're changing is because you have a purpose combined with enthusiasm for the change. If you guys haven't watched the interview with Joe Rogan and Magnus Carlsen, I would recommend that you watch that. Magnus Carlsen talks about why he's so good at chess. It's not that he's like has this like super discipline. It's just like he's enthusiastic about it. So enthusiasm is more important than discipline. Somebody who's enthusiastic, who has a purpose behind what they're doing, is going to beat everyone every time. So if you want to change, don't focus on discipline so much. Focus on enthusiasm and purpose. And then first, and then focus on discipline. Not discipline first and then the other, right? Because then you're only going to go so far, right? It's like somebody who's like, decent at math versus somebody who's a mathematical genius. Why is the person a mathematical genius? Because they're not doing homework. They're doing it all the time. They live it and they breathe it. Okay, friends? Hopefully this was a good video. At least a video to make you think. I mean, maybe not good in every respect, and I can see how that could be true too. But please appreciate the reason why I'm making this video. I'm in a space in my life where like I see this as something that's important for me to learn. So I'm telling because I want to learn this, right? Okay, friends, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.